Hello and welcome to another IoT Central webinar. I'm David O'Hara and I'm the Managing Director at IoT Central. Today's webinar is sponsored by Telit Cinterion. Telit Cinterion is a leading supporter of the IoT Central community and we're grateful to have them as sponsors. This webinar is titled Fleet Telematics, Challenges and Opportunities in the Age of EVs. Our speaker today is Jitender Vohra, Senior Director, Carrier Relations at Telit Cinterion. Let's get started.
Thank you, David. Thank you, IoT Central, for having me here today. Before I dive into today's focus topic, let me talk about my new company, Telit Cinterion, as of January 2023. For those of you that may not be familiar, as the name says, Telit Cinterion suggests, we brought two companies together, historically leading, cellular module vendors, Telit being one and Cinterion being the second. By the way, Cinterion was former Telit IoT and even before that, Gemalto. Now we are a single joint company, Telit Cinterion. Our mission is to make IoT simple and secure for our customers. We are a leading Western IoT solutions provider. We are headquartered in Irvine, California. We bought that Cinterion IoT module business from Telit in January for 25% stake of the new company to leverage Telit's strengths in terms of cybersecurity and eSIM. Now, let me touch on Telit Cinterion from an organization perspective. So, there are four key business units within Telit Cinterion. The first is a module hardware business unit. We were born inside the wireless communications module space over 2 decades ago. As I mentioned, we further strengthened this business unit earlier this year by acquiring Telit's IoT module business that I just talked to you about. Then in time, we learned from our customers that whenever they need to send data, they need more than just our hardware modules. They needed a cellular data plan. So in order to help those customers, we became an IoT MVNO and opened up our IoT MVNO cellular connectivity business unit. We did this because a large number of our customers' biggest issue when it comes to connectivity is deciding which mobile network to use. How do you provision their devices? How do you switch networks if necessary? Our platform business unit is our third business unit. This is our remote management and data orchestration platform. By data, I mean connection to the devices, monitoring the health of those devices, and also the sensor data. Our platform can help manage that data and also orchestrate the data into the cloud. IoT Solutions Business Unit is our fourth and most newest business unit. This business unit was formed back in October 2022 when we completed the acquisition of Mobile Logic. As a result of that acquisition, we're able to offer a tailor-made end-to-end solution for our customers, beginning from the design phase, which is the idea phase, all the way to the delivery of the final product, taking complete ownership of the process for the customer. So let's jump into the special topic today and kick it off with the agenda. So we all know that telematics has been around for a long time, but now electric vehicles have started to arrive. I will talk about what opportunities are driving adoption and what's getting in the way. Then I will touch upon what Telit Cinterion as an organization offers this space in terms of fleet telematics enablement, especially in the EV area. Towards the end, I will also highlight a few case study examples, and lastly, we will wrap it up with some Q&A. So here is a good picture of a fleet. Let's take a quick look at fleet telematics, what fleet telematics ultimately offers the EV space, along with what adaptations have to occur. So when people think about telematics, this slide does a good job addressing why telematics has gained so much traction in the market. What is telematics intended to do? What does telematics offer? Telematics has allowed business to collect critical data and gain deeper insight into the location and condition of their vehicle and the road. This could be a fleet of scooters, all the way up to a fleet of heavy construction equipment that's deployed on a single or even multiple construction sites around the world. Specifically, they're taking this critical data at the edge and all the insight and then using it to do three things. Number one is to improve fleet efficiency. Number two is to improve vehicle safety and health, both for the vehicle as well as the driver. Remote diagnostics is a key area within the vehicle's safety and health, the ability to collect data and proactively understand the issues. Lastly, improve driver safety. So those are the three areas on the right where businesses are gaining benefit for investing in telematics solutions. Bottom line, collecting the critical data at the asset to get a deeper insight and then apply that actionable intelligence to obtain maximum benefit. So this is what telematics is intended to do and what it offers. So there are four main areas within a telematics system architecture. But before I walk you through the four areas as you see in this architecture diagram, I believe it's important for you to understand that there are two types of telematics systems out there. There's the aftermarket system, and then there's the OEM system. So vehicle manufacturers have started to realize that this is something that needs to be embedded into the design and manufacture of the vehicle. So the OEMs are starting to get into the space. Historically, it has been an aftermarket play where people are bolting on black boxes onto their cars and then capturing the data. Then they will get the data by a mobile app or even a desktop app through the cloud in order to visualize the information. So now, as I mentioned, there are four more main areas from a system architecture perspective. The first, there's a GNSS segment, and it's primarily a location play. So this is where we have the module that gives us GNSS and location. The second is the vehicle segment with a couple of key hardware components. The telematics unit is the first hardware component that can gather information from multiple peripherals of the vehicle and extract the vehicle data as well. And then there's the onboard computer, which acts like your vehicle diagnostics. Both of these components are like the focal point, along with the GNSS, to put all that data and then send it back to the backend. The third area is the services segment, is the data visualization, right? And the last area is the network segment, where you see technologies from 2G, all the way to 5G. Some of you on this webinar may be surprised to see 2G. Keep in mind, there are nations in the world where 2G may be the best technology available to them, right? Telematics is just as prevalent, if not more prevalent, in communities and in environments where it's not state-of-the-art network infrastructure. You are dealing with 2G in Latin America, some legacy 3G, NB-IoT, Cat-M, Cat-1, all the way up to 5G. So in the network segment, telematic systems have to be able to work across a variety of different network environments. So when you think about what are the levers that need to be pulled in terms of the solution, this diagram does a good job breaking that out. As I mentioned, the module, which gives us the GNSS and location, the vehicle, which is the hardware and the onboard system, the services segment, which again is the data visualization and what's used to organize all that, the platform, the software, obviously the clients. And then making the transmission of the data possible are the networks that carry the data. Again, this slide is important as it shows you what is involved in telematics system. You will see a similar slide towards the end when I talk about what Telit Cinterion offers in this space. So let's talk about telematics market forecast, leveraging these two forward-looking charts created by Berg Insights. Both reports were published early this year in 2023, so it's very recent. Basically, both reports, both of these charts are showing you different market segments, right? Clearly, this is a growing market adoption of telematics over a 7-year period, starting in 2020, with big volumes in terms of units shipped across all markets that have been color-coded, like Europe, North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific, and Middle East Africa. This growth is across two spaces. The chart on the left is focused on the aftermarket telematics hardware shipments, and the chart on the right is the OEM telematics hardware shipments. Telematics units shipped expected to rise from 38 million in 2020 to 73 million by 2026, as seen on the left chart. Basically, it's a double-digit compound annual growth rate of 11.3%. So more and more OEMs are getting into this game, as seen by the chart on the right. In fact, per the data, 88% of the OEMs are enabled with some form of connectivity. That accounts for roughly 104 million, by 2026. So it's a very high attach rate. I just want to close this slide just to say that we're seeing the same trajectory of growth in the OEM space as in the aftermarket. But the unit on the left chart is in millions, while the unit on the right slide is in thousands. So clearly, there's a long way to go for the OEM telematics to catch up to the aftermarket. But the fact is, both are demonstrating an upward trend, along with a high 88% attach rate. So now all of a sudden, we have a spike in electric vehicles, right? EVs over the past several years. So from an EV sales perspective, which sets the context for deploying telematics, you clearly see much more rapid growth, especially between now and 2030. For those of you that live in the US, I'm sure not only do you see EVs every day on the road, but most likely someone in your immediate friend or family circle has an EV, for example, a Tesla. The steep growth is driven by market trends as well as the policy efforts. The move towards carbon neutral, the move towards a renewable energy, all of these things. And then you have the infrastructure being deployed to support the growth, makes for a very robust market outlook for EVs. Clearly, as you see from the slide, China continues to be the largest growth market as it will have 40% of the total electric cars sold by 2030. The United States is supposed to be double. It's gone from 10% to 20%. Europe, on the other hand, continues to maintain its current 25% market share. Overall, even though there may be some bumps in the road, as some of you may heard in the news, for example, in the US, the bumps may be due to various reasons, including slow rollout of EV infrastructure, gas prices coming down, high electricity costs, or even higher interest rates, if you want to purchase a fleet or cars. But at the end of the day, the trend will continue to grow. So based on the data within this chart, clearly the overall market for EVs is very bright. So now getting back to telematics for EVs, what's driving the adoption? First of all, the overall fit of telematics and connectivity within EVs is driven by solid use cases, which conventional vehicles don't represent in terms of an opportunity. There's a need for new types of services. There are new business models associated with the EVs. Connecting those cars is enabling real-time financial transactions with regards to electricity usage. And there's a need for a diagnostics and maintenance. So diagnostics and maintenance is there across all vehicle types. But when you talk about knowing where your charge station location is, how close is it from where you are? As you know, the biggest concern people that drive EVs have is oh my God, what if the battery dies while I'm on the road? What am I going to do? This becomes critical. Location access, information, knowing how much charge you have left. Where is the nearest charge station? Can you make it? Obviously, all of this is very important. So we're not talking about regular consumers. We're talking about people that operate transportation services or heavy equipment or even scooter fleets for micromobility. It could be two-wheelers or three-wheelers. There's a lot of application. There's a lot of use cases, business cases for this. These are the things that are expected to drive adoption of telematics for EVs. In summary, the overall fit of telematics and connectivity within the electric vehicle is driven by solid use cases, largely absent for conventional vehicles. So let's talk about what is potentially getting in the way from adoption of telematics for EVs. Not total blockers, but maybe inhibiting adoption. These are the top 5 technology barriers. The first one, integration complexity. Why? When integrating telematic systems, they have to work with existing fleet management software, hardware, and data sources. That can be, technically challenging. Compatibility issues can be a challenge. Second is connectivity and coverage can also be a challenge. Telematic solutions rely on network connectivity. There can be areas with poor network coverage, which can result in data gaps, along with other technical challenges. Device maintenance and reliability is another variable. Telematics hardware can fail or require regular maintenance. Ensuring the reliability and longevity of these devices can be a technical challenge. Data management and analysis. Telematic systems generate vast amount of data. Managing and analyzing that data can be technically challenging if you don't have the right tools and systems in place. And lastly, telematic solutions need to be scalable and customizable to meet the specific technical requirements of different businesses. Ensuring that the technology can adapt to evolving needs is a technical challenge. So now let's talk about what Cinterion does in this space. Simply put, we remove barriers. This chart here is very similar to the architecture chart I showed you a few slides ago. Cinterion offers end-to-end EV fleet telematics enablement in each of these segments. We provide reliable system performance enabled by secure by design IoT modules. In certain cases, we also provide Wi-Fi, Bluetooth modules in addition to cellular modules. We have customization in terms of hardware through our ODM services plus certification services. We have a full range of platforms so the data visualization can happen, or APIs to get the data to the platform, a preference by the end user. Most importantly and critically, cost optimized connectivity with very little in the way of restrictions, because we're a global MVNO and we have relationships across all those networks. So Telit Cinterion can offer anything that is tied to telematics solutions, as we cover all 4 of these areas within our business. So let me move on and talk to you about some real customer use cases to give you an idea of some of our capabilities. So this case study that I'm showing you here is of GPS Buddy. They are a pioneer in the fleet management industry, connecting vehicles and objects with people. They launched back in 2003 and serve over 2,000 companies in transport, logistics, construction, and infrastructure areas. In fact, more than 52,000 vehicles and assets have their systems across Europe and Asia. First of all, we have a very long-term relationship with this customer, and it became clear they needed to adapt their solutions, their existing solutions, with new technologies to adapt new market needs to differentiate. They recognized that true one-click functionality would transform its business. So the picture of the black enclosing is of their X24 mothership product. It generates all the necessary data for various businesses' processes. So we provide 2 offerings from 2 different business units. First of all, we provide them our LTE Cat 1 4G module in our flagship 910 form factor, which is ideal for their applications. In addition, we provide them with our MVNO connectivity offering so they can manage their IoT deployment. Working together with GPS Buddy, now we know they have a renewed vision, optimized direction for their business. They were able to form several new partnerships, and we are proud of this long-term partnership with GPS Buddy. So moving on to another case study, this is Telit. They're a fleet management company. They are a world leader in industrial and commercial cleaning equipment and solution space. Their fleet of cleaners, typically driven by people, either ride or, like the picture shows, or they can push it. They're usually found at airports, retail stores, office buildings, schools, hospitals, and other environments. Telit chose Telit technology for its IoT solution called IRIS. IRIS stands for Intelligent Remote Information System. It's a telemetry system that will collect sensor information and then send it up to the cloud. Tenants, customers needed this to help manage and then drive results to further differentiate against their competition. So what we did is we provided them our solutions from 3 of our business units so they can better manage their fleets of Telit machines. The first solution we provided is our 3G cellular modules. They were integrated into multi-tech IoT gateways. Our second solution is within those gateways, they transmitted over Telit's IoT connectivity, data plans and SIM cards. And the third is our device-wise platform. So our platform resides inside their products and in the cloud, capturing machine data and aggregating it, and then providing a gateway to partner cloud database. So Telit has told us these solutions have allowed them to secure lots of deals globally and to go deeper with existing customers. Telit's IRIS Asset Manager has been a huge success, overshooting first-year estimates by 3,000%. The advanced data collection and delivery capabilities of the IRIS solution exist as a strong competitive differentiation for Telit. So this last case study that I wanted to highlight is on Cinterion from the Netherlands. They provide turnkey end-to-end solutions from optimizing the performance and cycle life of Cinterion's battery packs. They're not so concerned with the vehicle or transport, but more with the EV battery pack health, and to make sure people have all the information to track the battery packs, which are basically plug and play. So assume you have a fleet of 600 of these e-scooters, and all of them use this battery. By the way, this battery is not welded to the scooter, which means the batteries are interchangeable, which also means you have 600 of these batteries lying around. So you need to track these batteries. So what we did is we provided them with our modules, our connectivity, and our platform solution as well. By doing so, we save them time and money versus if they were to build in-house from scratch. So their customers get real-time data they need to maximize performance and life of batteries for vehicles or other vehicle equipment. So in terms of results, now users can track each battery's location, providing additional insight into the status of assets such as medical equipment and light EVs. It feels like I've been talking for a long time, but I wanted to kind of wrap up today's discussion with the following closing. We've seen the growth of application of telematics from the early days. It's been a steady evolution and progression. EVs are now a very important part of the vehicle market. They come in every shape, every size, description, and application. When it comes to fleets, getting access to the real-time data is critical to maximizing those assets if you are a business. Or if you are providing a solution to that business, being able to reliably and confidentially provide the actionable data that's critical to the business you are supporting. Telit Cinterion, we enable all of it. We continue to build and develop new technologies such as 5G. These will be integral to effectively manage fleets as we go forward. Again, why are we highlighting EVs is because they represent a very special use case because there is much more critical information that telematics can bring to the operators of these vehicles or these vehicle fleets. So we are ensuring we continue to provide that support as adoption of EVs continue to grow across the globe. So with that, let me hand it back to you, David, for the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jitender. That was very interesting. I do have a few questions for you. You referred to Telit Cinterion as a solutions company. I was wondering if that might, in some ways, compete with your customers.
Well, that's a great question, David. Telit Cinterion has no interest or ambition to be a finished end device products, right? This has been the case and will always be the case. We're just offering to our device manufacturer customers an option to extend their R&D capabilities to design services, but it will always be a white label model. If they need our help, we can help them design their devices, but eventually they will be responsible to commercialize it. As an example, there have been times when customers don't have the available resources to design a new product line, or it could be they don't want to invest their internal R&D resources on a particular project. So they can keep those precious resources focused on something more strategic to their company. In either case, those type of customers need help from third parties such as us, so we can help them. As you can see, we are not competing, but helping them at a time that they need.
Okay. So security is always a topic of concern. How do you mitigate the security concerns with EV, fleet, and really just all types of telematics?
So again, a valid concern. In the case of EV chargers, these things are connected into your electric infrastructure. So we need to ensure it's safe and secure. The point number one is legacy Telit has been in the mission critical application space since the early 2000s, inside the electric grid and the smart metering in their critical fleets. So we have grown side by side with the industry over the last 20 plus years, understanding their needs and concerns when it comes to security. As a result, our approach to security is very much aligned with the industry's experience with cyber attack and issues they have. In fact, we also, as I mentioned earlier, formed a very strong partnership with Thales as a result of our acquisition of their module business, which we bought from them for 25% stake in the new Telit Cinterion company, basically to leverage their strength in cybersecurity. Keep in mind, Thales brand is like a synonym to security. Just about every credit card on the planet is a Thales credit card.
Okay. So I was wondering, why is an EV charger not connected via wire to some other type of network other than cellular?
So with the adoption of EVs, if you really want to adopt them, you need charging stations to be ubiquitous, kind of like gas stations are today. You cannot really wait for infrastructure to catch up. It needs to be cellular to kind of maximize the speed of deployment. And because there's already enough infrastructure dollars going into getting the necessary power or energy connections to these chargers. So now, if we need to start pulling wires from cable boxes or from fiber networks or things like that, number one, you start getting into a lot more money very quick. And number two, connectivity via cellular is very safe and very good. Cellular gives you lots of flexibility and scalability to deploy charger stations wherever they are needed. It is much more flexible to get a new charger station connected via cellular than wire. Also, keep in mind there's various types of connectivity customized for the type of charger station. It could be very low transactional connectivity, such as narrowband or LTE-M or Cat1, or it could be something with higher throughput for video, for example. Then you need LTE categories or even 5G. Clearly, cellular deployments would be the fastest, most flexible, as well as scalable when deploying new charger stations, or even if you're replanting them.
I also saw in the news that Telit Cinterion sold their automotive business to Kontron. Does that mean that you're not in the automotive space anymore?
That's quite interesting, and I can understand why some may, feel that way. So yeah, it's true that we sold our automotive business to Kontron back in August 2023. Bottom line is we're no longer in the automotive module business. What I mean by that is we can no longer sell auto grade modules anymore, but we are still interested in the automotive space for many reasons. So if a customer is okay supporting industrial level products, we can still support them from our module side of the business. But in addition to our module side of the business, we still do a lot of business in the aftermarket automotive space that I talked about. We can also offer IoT connectivity and SIM solutions. And lastly, along with the platform solutions to customers in the automotive space as well. So bottom line is we can still sell into the space. We're very much interested in the space as we have 4 different business units from that perspective.
Thanks again, Jitender, and a special thank you to Telit Cinterion for their sponsorship. This brings our webinar to a close. You can find more webinars at iotcentral.io. Thank you for watching.